Me to wrap my mind around, or at least, I could wrap my mind around it, but to put into practice, balance, and that's another one of them things that I'm not good at. I'm not, not perfectionist, but I do practice that, and I try to catch myself, and that's the main thing. I don't have balance in all areas of my life, but I do notice when I don't, and I try to make adjustments. And emotions is another one. They tell you not to try to have too many highs and don't get too low. Just try to keep it balanced out. That's why they tell you that, I believe. And that translates into all areas of your life. Personal relationships. There's very few things I can think of. Love maybe being the only one where it needs to have balance. And love probably fits in there too, but I've had a hard time trying to figure out how to balance love. I mean, the more you can give of that, the more you can get of that. Either way is a good thing. It's hard to go wrong with love. But in your work, if you're a workaholic, you work all the time, or you play all the time, one of the other, but you understand what I'm saying about balance. And recovery. Your recovery, my recovery, I have to have balance. If I'm just an AA guy, 25 days, 7 days a week, AA, well, what areas of my life am I neglecting? Now, so it's just balance. I'm not saying I'm not saying lessen your recovery, especially maybe not at this point or at this stage of your recovery, but I think for me, finding that balance in my recovery was key to still being sober today. 2 months, or 2 years in, 2 weeks later. And I think that translates too, because in AA, I noticed that there's a lot of paradoxes. And those are kind of fun for me. Paradoxes, you got to give it away if you want to keep it. We got to surrender to win. You got to die to live. Those kind of things. Balance. I got an illustration about that, or actually it's a story. Balance and thought. I can sum that up in a little story. So when I was in the center, I came in July 3rd, 2013, and I was here 115 days until October 22nd, 2013. And as you know, normally you spend about 90 days, I think is about the max, or at least it was. And so 90 days, like I say, I spent 115 days, so I had to get an extension. But, so coming up on 60 days, 65 days, Monty's trying to hide from me. I'm like, Monty, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. What do I do? What do I need to do? So these are thoughts I'm thinking, right? Thoughts, like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And all Monty kept just, hey, look, just let it go, man. It's going to show up. Just let it go. I was like, well, I don't know how to let it go. Well, how do I let it go? Like, what do I do? And my mind's telling me I got to do all these things. Okay, so I got to let this stuff go, and I tried, man, and I'm still not great at that even to this day, just letting stuff go, but I realize the importance of it, just letting life show up, let things happen, God's going to take care of it, and that's been proven to me so many times. The less I have my hands in it, the better it is. The faster it comes, the bigger it is. I mean, it's amazing. So anyway, I'm in the center, and we're over at a picnic table, and I'm just, every time I see Monty, I'm like, okay, Monty, so now I got, 14 days left now, so what am I going to do now? Maybe I should go, I'm going to get a pass this weekend, I'm going to go do this and all this stuff, and he's like, man, just let it go. Just, it's basically, I'm living in the future. I got lots of worry and anxiety because my thoughts are living in the future. Now how that relates to balance is because, I had to let it go up here. But as opportunities kind of unfolded for me, there's still a little footwork to do, but those intuitive thoughts and decisions will come. You'll be shown. For instance, while I was here, I got 3 weeks before I'm about to get out, I'm freaking out, and so my counselor comes to me and he's like, hey, I got a guy that my next door neighbor works in the plant, works at Coke Industrial Plant Services. If you can get your TWIC card, I'll get you a job, so when you get out of here, you can go right to work. And I was like, twit card? Well, how am I going to get a twit card? I don't know how to get a twit card. What I got to have a twit card? You know, so I'm like freaking out about that, trying to figure, you know, so my thoughts are kicking back in. And all I had to do was walk up here to the library, hop on a bus, go to Texas City, pay whatever it was. No, I didn't have to pay. Dollars paid for it. Free. I got a free twit card. Walked right out the gate in October. Went right to Ohio. Worked 3 weeks at Coke Industrial Plant Services for Marathon Oil, making $2,000 a week, whatever, you know what I mean? 712, doing that thing. I don't want to do that anymore. I did it, you know what I mean? I'm not doing that anymore. But, man, I mean, from going from worrying about what I was going to do, where I was going to go, hey, Monty, man, I'm going to have to sleep on your couch when I get out here. I don't know what's going to go on. And then next thing you know, I'm in Akron, Ohio. Now, you know where Akron, Ohio is? That's where this whole thing started. Yeah. This whole thing started. So how amazing is that, to go from 2 weeks before getting out? I did have to get an extension. Jesse had to give me an extension. So I stayed 115 days so I could get my twit card all settled up and straightened up. But it was amazing how that happened, because the extension wasn't supposed to happen. Well, we can't give you the extension, you know, you got to pay, you know, I don't have no money. Well, so anyway, it all worked out. I didn't do anything. All I had to do was go get a twit card. All I did was probably give Monty an oath, you know what I mean? Just worrying about stuff, worrying about that. So see, that's where my thoughts would get me in trouble real easy, and I try to catch myself when I have those Monty's in my head. Man, just let it go, man. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be okay. It's already okay, right? And that's amazing to me how that happened. And so I've tried to continuously do that, and it really does work. The less I have my hands in it, the better it is. Absolutely. And so I got one more thing. So we talked about, you know, thoughts, balance. For me, extremely important in my recovery, being able to stay sober one day at a time. But there's one little thing I want to talk about, and this is kind of tricky. I think everybody in here is going to be cool with this, but some people may get on me about this. But in the 4 steps, we talk about something. There's part of the 4 steps. We talk about something called ambition. And that worries me, because I have always considered myself pretty ambitious. I want to be prosperous and abundant and wealthy, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I want it. And I used to want it really bad for the wrong reasons. So I want to impart on, and so the reason I say it might be a little dicey to bring this up even is because, you know, this is a recovery center, and maybe that's not something that everyone in the room should be focused on, you know, right now. But I want to go ahead and put it out there anyway, because I don't think it's wrong to want those things. It goes directly back to balance. And so, success, financial success, wealth, wanting to create something, a business or something similar, I don't think that's wrong. And so I just wanted to kind of lay that out tonight, because it really hurt inside, because I was like, well, I mean, if I have to choose between recovery and that's going to be a really hard decision. And, you know, I mean, I don't want to be destined to live a life of destitution, you know, destitute just because I'm sober. That sounds like it sucks. I want to be able to pursue my goals, pursue my dreams, pursue these things. And I'm okay with that today, because I think that it's coming from a different place. It's not coming from the love of money, which the Bible says is the root of all evil. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. It's not money. It's not success. It's not wealth. It's not any of those things. I feel that if I continue to pursue those avenues, those areas, and if it's coming from a good place, and especially if it's coming from a place of recovery, helping, giving back sort of deal, I think that's okay. So I encourage you guys, don't let that kind of thing, don't let that, if any of you are like me, and you have dreams and goals and ambitions of success and wealth and prosperity and abundance, man, I'm trying to be careful with how I say that. But just kind of hold on to that, man. Don't let those dreams die just because you want to get sober. You know, they kind of try to teach you that in religion, like you should feel bad if you want to grab onto some success, you know, in this society. And I just don't think that's necessarily the case. It can be, but if it's coming from the right place, then that's not necessarily true. And as I studied that, I realized that there's a lot of sort of parallels as I study business and with recovery. To prove that point, there's a guy, I guess he's a motivational speaker. He gets hired by, or he used to, he's passed away now, but his name is Zig Ziglar. And one of his most famous quotes says, "You can have anything you want in this life if you help enough other people get what they want." And that sounds like recovery to me, right? I can stay as sober as I am today if I help enough other people stay sober or get sober. You know, that's what money does. And so in business, if I want to have everything, achieve the things that I want to in my life, success, abundance, prosperity, I believe God wants me to have those things as long as they're coming from the right place. And that's okay. I just wanted to kind of put that out there. But I had to keep it on hold for a while because there was a lot of self-will ready to just run riot if I had tried to kind of push that issue too early. I'm not saying everybody get up in the morning and tell the counselors that you're going to go out and start a business. It's maybe not the time, but hold on to that, man. Don't let that go. Don't sacrifice that just because you're sober, just because you're trying. Integrate it. Make it part of each other, and that's what I'm trying to do. Recently, I began putting the steps together towards, not those steps, putting one foot in front of the other to try to do that. So I created something called Sober Wealth. And Sober Wealth, all it is, it's just in infancy right now, but it basically is that. It's to bridge that gap between guys like us who come in, get a solution. Maybe you came from the street, maybe you lost everything when you came in, or whatever the case may be. But I know from my experiences that a lot of people, we don't just have a nice plush place to go back to. So I'm trying to create something, an organization, a community, a business that'll kind of help bridge that gap. My plan is just to kind of course, start off slow, but eventually to have a place where the transition, and it would just be mainly to help teach people certain skills, internet marketing, labor skills, anything that I can think of along the way that's going to help the next alcoholic find his way from a recovery center to maybe some success and abundance in his life. Maybe he'll be able to take care of generations of his family because he got sober, decided to follow his dream, and made it happen. One of the most important things in business, just like in sobriety, is the support. And man, if we get a bunch of alcoholics together, we can do some pretty serious things. We're some of the most creative, talented, smart people. We just have an affliction, an addiction. But the guys that are actively trying to do something about that, that's an amazing thing. So we talked about thoughts, we talked about balance, and I talked a little bit about abundance and success and prosperity. And that's really what I wanted to kind of to relay to you guys tonight. It's just been awesome, man. I really can't say anything else about it. Just do what they're telling you to do. You're going to develop your own little bit of a program as you get closer to leaving. But there's two things that if you just keep these two things in mind, then you're already okay, right? And those two things are this, man, and you already know them. All you have to do is just be. That's your, you don't have to drive yourself crazy trying to be there. We talked about chasing dreams and goals, and that's one thing, but if you get overwhelmed, and I know what it feels like, you feel like your mind's about to explode because, if you get to that point, my advice is just close your eyes and tell yourself, look, my only job right now is just to be. And as simple as that sounds, as easy as that sounds, it's actually sort of easy, and it clears the clutter, and you can focus on the task at hand. The second thing and you guys definitely know this one. It's just to help the next guy. If you get bogged down, and for me, like, I would just get I would have so much anxiety and things in my, Monty would always just help the next guy, man. Get out of your head, you guys know that. But that's key. I mean, in the 2 years I've had so many, sobriety, I've had so many times where I thought I was going to lose it, and I would remember Monty's voice again in the back of my mind. Hey, man, what about the next guy? Go help somebody. And that's, I get out of myself just like that. So that's the meat of what I wanted to talk to you about. I really appreciate you guys letting me stand up here and talk about myself and about my story, because there's nothing an alcoholic wants to do more than stand up here and talk to himself. So I really appreciate that. And there's one other key, and if I had 45 more minutes, I would really like to go in this. It would take about 45 minutes. But the other thing I really want to put out there is that love and the concept of love is extremely important, man. It's helped me with so many things, with the judgment thing, and being so judgmental about everything, which just eats me alive from the inside. If I concentrate on love, and you guys know what, you guys love each other, y'all know y'all do. Y'all are supporting each other, and you guys will always remember a handful of guys that you're in here with right now. My heart goes out to some of the guys that I was in here with who I know aren't doing so well today. Hopefully they'll get turned around. But that's love, man. That's an alcoholic loving another alcoholic. And for right now, that's all you got to do is just concentrate on love. Love yourself, because that's why you're here. You can't help anybody else get sober if you don't get sober first. I had to concentrate on myself. I had to love myself first. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world to do. That's my tweet back here? Oh, Lord. All right. So, in closing, I just want to say this is sort of straightforward and kind of to the point. But basically, I heard somebody say the other day, from this point on, there's no more victims, only volunteers. And those aren't my words, I won't take credit for them, but that really hit me right between the eyes, because once I knew that there was a solution at that point, there was no more victims for this alcoholic. It was volunteers. Sure, I'll go back out and try it one more time. Sure, I'll go out and try it again, cut my chances of making it back. So many of us don't. I just try to practice and be conscious of my thoughts. And I don't beat myself up. I try to stay fluid. You know what I mean? I know I'm going to make mistakes. I know things are going to suck sometimes, and I expect that. If you expect that, then when it happens, it doesn't tear me down. I just try to remain fluid in my recovery. I'm not rigid. The only people I know that are rigid are dead people. And I don't want to be one of those yet. So, progress, not perfection. I keep that in mind. And that's really it, man. That's the crux of the situation for me. I remember, to always remember, sort of my motto is to relax. I read it every morning. Relax, take it easy, don't struggle. The right answers will come after you've tried this for a while. So I appreciate you guys listening to all the morbid and grotesque stats that I gave you to start this tonight. I appreciate you bearing with me through that. But remember, that's the bad news, and that bad news is happening out there right now. The good news is happening right here, right now. So I urge you to feel good about being part of the good news. Continue to be part of the good news. And most importantly, always remember to pass the good news along to the next man. Brothers and sisters, man, I love you. God bless you. Good night.
Thank you. Yeah.